When you see an avoidant again after a period of no contact, the very first thing that happens is a microfreeze, a tiny, nearly invisible moment where their entire system pauses. It lasts only a fraction of a second, but it reveals everything they tried to hide while they were gone. Avoidants pride themselves on looking composed, controlled, emotionally detached, but their nervous system reacts before their mask can catch up. And the moment their eyes land on you, that automatic freeze gives them away. It starts with their gaze. They lock eyes with you just a bit too long, like their brain is trying to catch up with what it's seeing. Or they look away too fast, as if the sight of you sends a quick shock through them. Either way, it's never neutral. Their eyes widen for a millisecond, or their expression softens for a heartbeat before they quickly pull it back together. It's the emotional equivalent of their heart skipping a beat. Something inside them stirs, and they can't control it. This freeze is confusion, longing, fear, and recognition all colliding at once, because even though avoidants use distance to suppress their emotions, those emotions don't disappear. They get stored, layered, buried, and when they finally see you again, all of those buried feelings slam into their nervous system in one instant, catching them off guard. They thought they were prepared. They thought they were fine. They thought time and space would neutralize the connection. But seeing you proves them wrong immediately, and their mind hasn't yet formed a defense to hide it. During this microfreeze, they're not thinking logically, they're not analyzing, they're not choosing how to react. Their body just reacts for them. You'll see their posture shift, shoulders tense or drop slightly, their breath catches, their lips part just a little, their hands fidget for a second. It's subtle, but it's the physical truth of what silence did to them. Their walls aren't fully up yet, because they didn't expect to feel that much so fast. Inside, they're processing 1,000 emotions at once. Relief that you're here, shock that you still have an effect on them, anxiety about what you're feeling, curiosity about how you've changed, fear that they misplayed everything. They want to hide all of this, but they can't. Not in the first seconds. That instinctive freeze is the one moment where their guard isn't fully in place. And the reason this pause is so powerful is because avoidants don't freeze for just anyone. They freeze only when they care more than they want to admit. If the connection meant nothing, there would be no shift, no hesitation, no pause. They'd walk up casually, unfazed. But the very fact that they freeze means the moment hits them emotionally, not logically. That freeze also comes from the shock of seeing your energy. During no contact, they assume you will be the same, soft, open, predictable. But when they see the version of you that survived without them, the version that stands differently, speaks differently, radiates differently, that unexpected strength sends a ripple through their entire nervous system. The freeze is their brain trying to understand the unfamiliar emotional terrain. It's the first moment they realize you're no longer orbiting around them. You're no longer emotionally dependent. You're no longer waiting. And that realization leaves them momentarily disarmed. Their freeze is the moment the dynamic changes. It's the split second before the mask returns. It's the truth their body speaks before their mind can silence it. It's the moment they were not prepared for, the moment they did not rehearse for, the moment they didn't expect would still matter. In that instant, before they collect their composure, you glimpse something real, their attachment, their regret, their longing, their fear of losing you for good. And even though they'll try to cover it seconds later, you saw the truth first. When an avoidant sees you, after no contact, the first shock they experience isn't about what you say, it's about what you no longer give off. Avoidants expect you to be the same person you were before the silence, warm, available, emotionally soft, and subtly reaching for them. They expect familiarity. They expect emotional openness. They expect the same version of you that made it so easy for them to retreat without truly losing you. But when they see you again and realize your energy has changed, when they realize your warmth is no longer directed at them, your focus is no longer centered on them, your presence is no longer quietly waiting for them, it rattles them instantly. What shocks them isn't arrogance, coldness, or anger. It's that you now carry yourself with a self-contained energy they never saw before. Your eyes don't cling, your body doesn't lean, your expression doesn't soften the way it once did. You aren't trying to decode their mood or adjust your tone to match their comfort level. You're simply you, grounded, detached, balanced. And this is the exact moment their nervous system sends a signal they weren't expecting. You don't need them anymore. Avoidants thrive on the subtle emotional pull that used to exist between you. Even when they were distant, that magnetic pull made them feel safe. Safe in the sense that they believed they could always come back and you would still be emotionally available. It wasn't malicious. It was simply their internal blueprint. As long as you wanted them, they felt free to run. As long as you reached, they felt comfortable distancing. As long as you carried the emotional weight, they felt justified in avoiding vulnerability. But after no contact, when they see the new version of you, they instantly feel a shift they didn't expect. Your emotional gravity is no longer attached to them. You are not waiting. You are not hoping. You are not energetically reaching toward them. You are centered in yourself. This neutral energy, not cold, not angry, just grounded, is something avoidance cannot prepare for, because they've never been on the receiving end of it. It takes away their sense of predictability. It removes their emotional safety net. It leaves them momentarily directionless. And inside, this shocks them more deeply than they show. They begin questioning everything at once. Why do they seem so calm? Why do they look like they've moved on? Why don't they look nervous to see me? Why do I feel like I'm the one who wants something now? Why do I suddenly feel unsure? Your new energy quietly communicates one powerful message they can feel instantly. I respect myself too much to chase you again. And that message hits them harder than any words you could say. Avoidants don't process this logically. They feel it. Their chest tightens slightly. Their posture stiffens. Their eyes scan you, trying to read something familiar, a softness, a longing, a lingering attachment. But they don't find it. Instead, they find someone who has grown. Someone who healed without them. Someone who learned emotional independence. And this newfound strength creates a sense of curiosity and discomfort in them that they try to suppress but can't. Your energy used to reassure them. Now it challenges them. Your presence used to make them feel safe in their avoidance. Now it makes them feel exposed in their fear. Your availability used to allow them to hide emotionally. Now your neutrality forces them to confront the possibility that they may have pushed someone valuable too far. This shift also triggers something else. They begin to wonder what you experienced during the silence. Did you meet someone else? Did you outgrow them? Did you realize you deserve more? Did you finally understand your worth? They feel all of this in seconds, and they hide it with a polite smile or controlled tone. But their body gives away the truth. Your energy becomes the mirror they never wanted to face. It shows them your growth, their mistakes, and the possibility that their avoidance had real consequences. And nothing makes an avoidant more unsettled or more drawn in. Realizing the emotional dynamic they once relied on no longer exists. In that moment, they become the uncertain one. In that moment, they become the one who desires clarity. In that moment, they realize you didn't break without them. You broke free. When you finally see an avoidant again after no contact, their mouth may say, "Hey, how are you?" But their body tells the real story, the story they don't want you to see, the story they don't want to admit, even to themselves. Avoidants spend their whole lives learning how to hide their emotions behind calm tones, casual words, controlled expression. But what they cannot control is what happens inside their body the instant they face someone who once mattered to them. Their nervous system reacts before their mind has time to build a mask. And that reaction is loud, raw, and revealing. The moment they greet you, you'll see it. The subtle tension in their jaw, the way their voice comes out slightly softer or slightly higher than usual, the way their chest tightens, the slight shake in their breath. They might swallow hard, shift their weight, adjust their clothes, or look past you for a second as if grounding themselves. These tiny body cues are not random. They are signs of the internal emotional spike they're trying to suppress. Avoidants always act cool, but they never feel cool in this moment. They feel exposed. The hello they give you is never just a hello. It's wrapped in anxiety, curiosity, and emotional confusion. They might smile more than usual to look relaxed, or smile less because they're overwhelmed. They might avoid eye contact at first to regain composure, then suddenly hold it too long because they're trying to read your face. Everything is slightly off balance because they are off balance. Inside, they are thinking, do I still matter to them? But their mouth says something neutral. Their heart is pounding with fear and hope at the same time, but their tone tries to sound casual. Their body, however, betrays them with every small movement. Their shoulders might rise unconsciously in tension. Their fingers might twitch or fidget with something. Their breath might quicken and then slow as they try to regulate. Their stance might shift toward you even if they try to keep distance. The body speaks the feelings they fight so hard to silence. Avoidants don't fear you. They fear what you make them feel. And after no contact, seeing you again brings back everything they buried. They don't expect this emotional spike. They don't anticipate it. They don't prepare for it. They spent the no-contact period convincing themselves that distance meant detachment. But the moment they see you again, The truth resurfaces instantly, and their body reacts before their mind can catch up. Their greeting becomes a battlefield between fear and longing. Fear tells them, stay composed, stay in control. Longing tells them, you missed this. Fear tells them, don't reveal too much. Longing tells them, look at them again. Fear tells them, careful. Longing tells them, what if it's not too late? And while their words stay guarded, their body expresses both sides with every tiny, involuntary movement. They may blink faster, a sign of emotional overwhelm. They may inhale sharply, surprise, longing, recognition. They may tilt their head slightly, curiosity mixed with vulnerability. They may step just a little closer, a subconscious pull toward connection. They may freeze for a moment, fear trying to regain control. Avoidance hate being unreadable, yet in this moment they are the most readable they'll ever be. Their controlled cool hello is not confidence, it's a shield. It's their attempt to protect themselves from the intensity of what your presence triggers. Because the truth is simple, avoidants don't get triggered by people they don't care about. They don't stumble over their breath for someone they feel nothing for. They don't tense up when seeing someone who didn't leave a mark. Their body reacts because you matter more than they allowed themselves to feel. They try to look calm because the opposite would expose everything they regret. The confusion, the longing, the fear of losing you completely. Their words stay casual because their emotions aren't. They greet you politely because the truth, the real truth, would come out as something closer to, I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't prepared to feel this again. Why does seeing you still affect me this much? And no matter how carefully they try to hide it, their body answers that question for them before they can. When an avoidant sees you again after no contact, something awakens inside them that they didn't feel while they were hiding, running, or staying silent, longing. And it happens so suddenly, so intensely, that it catches them completely off guard. They expect neutrality. They expect emotional distance. They expect to feel in control. What they don't expect is that your presence will hit them like a wave of familiarity, comfort, memory, and unresolved feeling, all colliding in the space of a single heartbeat. Avoidants do not feel longing while you are chasing them. They do not feel longing while you are over-communicating, explaining, or pleading. They do not feel longing when they are overwhelmed by closeness or responsibility. Longing only wakes up in them when they believe they've escaped the emotional intensity, where the chaos has gone quiet, when the pressure has lifted, when the noise inside them has settled. And the moment they see you again, that quiet is shattered. The very sight of you reactivates the emotional connection they spent weeks or months trying to suppress. Longing hits avoidance differently than it hits secure or anxious types. For them, it doesn't feel soft or romantic at first. It feels like shock. Their mind tries to protect them with logic. I'm fine. I moved on. I don't need this anymore. I've already let go. But their body betrays the truth. Something inside them recognizes you instantly. The tone of your voice, the way you hold yourself, the subtle emotional imprint they associate with you. And recognition opens the door to feeling. Suddenly they feel something they thought time had erased, something they thought they had shoved far enough down, something they thought distance had cured. They feel a pull, a softness, an ache, a warmth, a flicker of vulnerability they don't want to acknowledge. Avoidants are not prepared for this emotional return. They never are. They underestimate what your absence actually created inside them. Because while you were healing, detaching, and reclaiming your self-respect, they were trying to outrun the emotional consequences of their avoidance. And avoidance always delays emotion. It never cancels it. So when they finally come face to face with you, the delayed feeling hits them all at once. Their longing doesn't show up as, I missed you. It shows up as a momentary loss of control, as curiosity, as a need to observe you closely, as a sudden desire for closeness they can't logically explain, as a warmth in their chest paired with fear in their stomach. They might look at you a beat longer than they should. They might soften their tone without meaning to. They might stand closer than necessary. They might ask a question that reveals more interest than they intended to show. They might give you a smile that feels too personal for the kind of distance you both agreed to. Longing pulls them toward you in ways their mind cannot rationalize, and the reason it hits them so intensely is because they see something they didn't plan for. Your emotional independence. The version of you that once felt safe to take for granted is not the version standing in front of them anymore. You look like someone who healed without their help, someone who isn't carrying the old pain, someone who isn't waiting or hoping. And that independence triggers an instinct they didn't expect. Desire mixed with insecurity. Avoidants don't crave you when you're available, they crave you when you're self-contained. They don't long for you when you're reaching out, they long for you when they can't read you. They don't feel urgency when you're open, they feel urgency when you're grounded and detached. Your new energy, calm, confident, emotionally neutral, creates the exact conditions necessary for their feelings to surface. Because finally, for the first time in a long time, they feel safe enough to want you, safe enough to miss you, safe enough to imagine reconnecting, safe enough to admit to themselves, even if only subconsciously, that losing you would be a deeper wound than intimacy ever was. And that's why longing hits avoidance instantly the moment they see you again after no contact. Not because they're ready for connection, but because your transformation makes them realize the connection was never as gone as they pretended it was. When an avoidant sees you again after no contact, they don't just look at you, they study you, not consciously, not intentionally, but out of an instinctive need to understand what changed while they were gone. Avoidants are highly perceptive when it comes to emotional risk. They might run from closeness, but they are extremely observant of emotional shifts, especially when it comes to someone they once felt connected to. And the moment you appear in front of them after silence, their internal radar switches on immediately. They're not studying you to judge you. They're studying you to reassure themselves. Their nervous system is asking a set of questions they're too afraid to say out loud. Are they angry at me? Do they still care? Did they move on? Do I still have a place in their life? Has something changed that I didn't expect? So they begin scanning your energy for answers. They examine your tone. They look at the way you smile. Is it warm or distant? They look at the way you stand, open or closed off. They notice the way you breathe when you see them. They observe your eyes carefully, trying to find the softness that once made them feel safe. And when they don't immediately see the same softness, a wave of insecurity hits them. Avoidants don't like not knowing where they stand. They may act indifferent, but inside, unpredictability terrifies them. So they study you, looking for signs of familiarity, signs of attachment, signs that you still see them the way you once did. But the problem for them is this: you've changed. And they feel that change instantly. Your tone is calm. Your posture is grounded. Your expression is neutral, not eager. Your eyes aren't searching theirs for answers. Your energy is contained, not reaching. And this new version of you confuses them deeply. They're used to you emotionally leaning in. They're used to you trying to close the gap they created. They're used to being able to read every emotion on your face, but now you're unreadable in the best possible way. You're not playing a role. You're not pretending. You've simply healed, grown, and emotionally detached from the old version of the dynamic. This unreadability is powerful, because avoidants rely heavily on certainty. When they pulled away before, they assumed the connection was waiting for them. They assumed your energy was predictable. They assumed your feelings were solid. But now they sense that their old assumptions no longer hold true, and their instinctive response is to analyze you even more. They'll listen more carefully than usual. They'll ask harmless questions that are actually emotional temperature checks. They'll watch how you respond to them compared to how you respond to others. They'll notice every shift in your tone, every pause, every expression. Their guarded eyes are looking for something. Reassurance that they haven't lost you completely. But the more they study you, the more they realize that you aren't the same version of yourself they once took for granted. You're calmer, you're stronger, you're emotionally self-sufficient, you're harder to access, harder to influence, harder to predict. And this realization makes them feel something unfamiliar, pressure, but not the kind intimacy triggers. The pressure of wanting to regain emotional ground they fear they've lost. This is when avoidants start doing small things they never did before, leaning closer, softening their voice, holding eye contact longer, asking follow-up questions, showing attention they avoided in the past. It's their way of trying to reconnect without admitting they want to reconnect. What they're really studying is not your behavior. It's your emotional availability. They want to know if there's still a chance. They want to know if you still feel something. They want to know if the door is still open even a little. And for the first time, they're not sure. That uncertainty pulls them towards you in a way they never expected. Your neutrality becomes their intrigue. Your independence becomes their attraction. Your unreadability becomes their focus. Your self-respect becomes their wake-up call. They study you because they suddenly realize something they never considered before. They are no longer the one being observed. Now, they are the one chasing clarity. And that shift in dynamic flips the entire emotional script, instantly, silently, powerfully. The moment you see an avoidant again after no contact, something subtle but powerful shift in the dynamic. something they feel instantly, even if neither of you says a word. For the longest time, they were the emotionally unavailable one. They were the distant one. They were the one with the power to walk away, pull back, and decide when connection happened. But when they face you again after space, after silence, after your emotional reset, the entire balance flips. Without trying, without forcing, without strategizing, you become the one whose energy is grounded, centered, calm, and out of reach. And that shift hits them harder than anything else. Avoidants survive on emotional predictability. They don't have to be close to you. They just need to know they still have access to you. They don't need intimacy. They just need the reassurance that you're still emotionally available for when they decide to return. Your old energy gave them that safety. Your old softness told them they could withdraw without consequences. Your old closeness allowed them to take the connection for granted. But after no contact, when they see you again, they can immediately feel that something has changed in you. Deeply, internally, permanently. You're not angry. You're not bitter. You're not avoiding them out of spite. Your energy is simply detached, self-contained, and peaceful in a way they don't know how to read. Avoidants know how to handle emotions when the other person is overwhelmed, needy, or upset. They know how to handle someone who still wants closeness. But they don't know how to handle someone whose energy is neutral, someone who has nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to reclaim. Your emotional neutrality is what flips the power dynamic instantly. Not because you are trying to be distant, but because you've actually healed. You don't need their validation. You don't need their return. You don't need their reassurance. You're simply okay with or without them. And avoidants feel that truth in the air the moment you walk into the same space. Inside them, something tightens, a discomfort they can't name. A subtle fear they can't hide. Not the fear of intimacy, but the fear of losing the emotional position they always relied on. For the first time, they become the one who wonders where they stand. They become the one searching your expression for clues. They become the one feeling uncertain, a feeling they have spent their whole life avoiding. It's not the silence that scares them. It's your peace within the silence. It's not the distance that scares them. It's how naturally you stand in that distance now. It's not your indifference. It's your emotional maturity that highlights their emotional avoidance. Without saying a word, you shift the emotional gravity. They can feel you are not holding the connection up anymore. They can feel you stopped being the emotional caregiver. They can feel your identity no longer revolves around maintaining the bond. And this realization creates a longing in them mixed with insecurity, a rare combination they don't know how to process. They suddenly become more cautious, more soft-spoken, more attentive, more observant. They may offer small, gentle attempts to re-engage. They might smile a little too softly. They might ask a question they would have ignored before. They might look at you a second too long, trying to understand what changed. Your emotional independence forces something new out of them. The desire to show up differently. The desire to be closer. The desire to reconnect, all without truly understanding why. For the first time, they are the one seeking emotional permission. For the first time, they are the one afraid of messing it up. For the first time, they feel what you once felt, uncertainty, vulnerability, emotional risk, and that is the power shift they feel instantly. Not because you tried to make them feel it, but because becoming emotionally unavailable wasn't a strategy. It was your evolution. The moment they see that you no longer need them is the moment they finally realize how deeply they needed the version of you they took for granted. And now, without words, without effort, without intention, you became the one they cannot easily read, cannot easily access, and cannot easily forget.